Hey there. You're probably wondering how we ended up here. Let's start from the beginning. Meet Fred Durst. Yeah, that Fred Durst. It's been a little over 2 months since we spawned in post-apocalyptic Louisville, and in that time, we've progressed nearly all the way up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We've stockpiled food and water, secured our fortress, and improved our confidence as a survivor, all while making some friends along the way.
Oh my god! Wow!
Now, we're ready to self-actualize by accomplishing my ultimate goal: kill 10,000 zombies in 100 days and conquer Louisville. If I'm going to achieve this goal, then I've got some serious work to do. We're 63 days into the apocalypse, and my zombie kill count is only pushing 3,500. If we included kills from fire, we would probably be closer to 5,000. But since we don't have a concrete method of tracking fire kills, we have to count these kills using only melee weapons and firearms. And after going on a little rampage at the hospital, my immediate priority was to replenish my ammo reserves. I've already picked through the army surplus store and the military checkpoint south of Louisville, which means I'll need to venture out further away from home and hit a very promising location: a hunting supply store on the opposite end of the city. This will probably be a multi-day excursion, so I spent the rest of day 63 tending to some work around the base. I harvested my fresh broccoli and potatoes, made some much needed repairs to the truck, and disassembled just enough electronics to reach level 2 and read the subsequent electrical textbook before calling it a day. I wasted no time the next morning, leaving my warm bed before the break of dawn so I could pack some food and hit the road. After driving for some time, I ended up making a wrong turn, navigating through a desolate neighborhood where frozen Zeds were roaming the streets. But what started as a mistake actually ended up in my favor as I stumbled across 2 barricaded survivor homes. The first home had already been picked clean, but the second home contained a huge stash of high-powered weapons and ammunition. However, this was merely an appetizer for what was waiting for us at the hunting supply store. There was a surprising lack of zombies at our destination, so after easily dealing with my enemies, we had free reign to scavenge as much firepower as we could possibly fit into the truck. As I finished packing up all the loot, I realized darkness was fast approaching, so I decided to clear out a nearby fire station and hole up for the rest of the night. I didn't allow myself to get too comfortable out here in unfamiliar territory, as I immediately got back out on the road hours before sunrise. Thankfully, it wasn't too dark outside for me to notice a peculiar shambler in my peripheral vision. Turns out, this poor bastard opted to try his luck on the move instead of forging a permanent home in this nightmarish wasteland. And honestly, I can't blame him. I just wish I could thank him for delivering these useful upgrades to me. Before driving straight home, there was still some unfinished business I needed to take care of at the hospital. Now that the dust has settled, I actually wanted to see if it was safe enough to explore the area, but an untimely airplane flying overhead immediately woke up the horde and sent them my way. After digging through rotting corpses for hours looking for digital watches, I'm perfectly content with marking this area as complete. Besides, I have bigger fish to fry. But before we continue, subscribe to Since my ammo reserves are now fully replenished, I'm eager to start planning my next move towards the goal of 10,000 kills. Within downtown Louisville, there are plenty of massive buildings which are likely housing some sizable hordes, but there is a specific location that warrants my attention: the Central Louisville Police Station, nestled deep within the city. Now, I could just go in guns blazing, but you know, I kind of enjoy being alive. So I'm approaching this with a level of strategy. I'm thinking that if I can create a diversion with my truck by honking the horn just outside the police station, I'll pull most of the zombies out of the nearby buildings and into the street, where I'll then slowly lead them away from the area. After that, I'll establish a satellite base just a few blocks away from the police station, so I can methodically clear the remaining hordes without drawing too much attention. But to pull off a strategy like this, I'll need some time to prepare. So I used the remaining hours of my day to reload all my magazines, set aside some canned food for the satellite base, and made sure to get a full night's rest, because tomorrow we're putting this plan into action. Upon embarking on my mission, feelings of doubt began to set in. What if the diversion doesn't work? What will I do if I get surrounded? As we neared the police station and weaved through the claustrophobic streets, these valid concerns were hard to ignore, yet I trusted my gut and pushed forward. My gut instinct prevailed, and rounding the corner towards the main entrance was my cue to create the diversion. Now, with frenzied hordes on my tail, I set the truck's cruise control to keep them entertained until I was ready to lose them. It was during this time I realized that my truck is not suited for navigating these clustered downtown streets. I needed something more nimble. That's when I spotted the perfect candidate for the job, what appeared to be a Ranger sedan in mint condition. I wanted to fight for it now, but my exhaustion was beginning to set in, weakening my attacks and making the situation increasingly dangerous. I needed to mark this location on my map and return in the morning. Thankfully, there weren't nearly as many zombies wandering around when we came back, making this an easy grab and go. After hitching up, I stopped by my secure gas station to fuel up my new set of wheels. Our diversion tactic is now complete, meaning it's time to prepare for our move to the satellite base. However, I chose not to move out there today because of the thick fog that rolled in and because I needed some time to recharge the battery in the Ranger sedan. This gave me a chance to reload the magazines for my trusty AK-47 and to meal prep a fresh pot of fish and vegetable stew that I'll bring with me on the road tomorrow. The harsh weather was an ominous sign, but I chose to ignore it. Our first order of business was to make sure this satellite base is actually safe enough for me to sleep here, so I went house to house, clearing each room and looting extra supplies. Unlike our main base where we can feel nice and cozy behind tall walls and fences, we need to deal with the ever-present threat of wandering hordes. As it turns out, I've brought just the right tools for the job. After nearly 48 hours of constant conflict, I eventually whittled down the hordes of ghouls drifting around the satellite base. Fatigue was beginning to creep in, so instead of rolling the dice on spending another night out here, I drove back to home base to rest and recharge. I could feel deep in my gut that it was only a matter of time until the hordes I distracted a few days prior would return in droves, so I needed to prepare for some long nights likely to follow.
In the mood for hot coffee? When you are, nothing else will satisfy. Coffee has a flavor, an aroma, a deep down satisfying goodness all its own. And our coffee has something extra, the care with which we brew and serve it. You'll enjoy the show more while you're enjoying steaming hot coffee. Come and get yours now.
Before jumping right back into the fray, I use this day for something that I've been putting off for quite a while. One slip-up could abruptly end it all, but adding protective layers to my clothes will act as an insurance policy if or when that inevitable slip-up happens. I needed a stockpile of thread and ripped sheets to train up my paltry tailoring skill, which I could easily harvest from the piles of bodies in the streets. Can't let a good massacre go to waste. Huffing the fumes off rotting corpses isn't great for your health, so I gave my lungs a break and turned in for the night. We'll need a full 8 hours of sleep for what's likely to come next. Today, we have to continue the push towards the police station as our window of opportunity is closing fast. If we don't take out the remaining stragglers around the police station before the main herd returns, we risk being overwhelmed and going right back to square one. I'll use the sound of my car as bait to lead the dormant zombies out of their nest, where I can use the open space to channel my inner Jason Voorhees and slice and dice with my machete. The time to act is now. Let's get to work. Slashing through hordes meant that we could finally poke our heads into the police station, if only for a moment. Rest easy, my sweet prince. It's getting dark soon, so if all goes according to plan, tomorrow should be the day we move inside the police station and finish the job. I decided to spend the rest of the night in this apartment building just up the block, since it seemed safe enough. At this point in the playthrough, there really isn't much I need in terms of survival gear, but I was still curious about what I could find in these storage lockers. Can never have too many propane tanks, I suppose. Next, I needed to sweep each floor and deal with the residents still lurking about. After everything we've been through, dying in this apartment building would be a pretty anticlimactic end to the series. To say I was clenched throughout these series of events would be an understatement. As day 72 began, I was feeling on top of the world. By all accounts, I've seen near flawless execution of my plan to clear the police station, and today would be the day I finally see it through. Wait, what's that noise? No, it can't be. I must be hallucinating. No. Why are they flying here? I don't want their help. I don't need their help. I quickly got in the car to scout the area surrounding the police station, where my fears were ultimately validated. All of the zombies in the vicinity were following the path of the stranger's airplane and its roaring sound. All of my days spent planning, strategizing, organizing around the police station were wasted. Fuck it, I'm done being stealthy. It's time to take the fight to them. I got extremely lucky that the hordes couldn't reach me behind this fenced-off yard, giving me a perfect position to mow them down. I'm running low on spare magazines, and the rest of my ammo is still in the car. My best chance to make it out of here is to try and clear one side of the fence and make a run for it. I know I said that I would stay away from using Molotovs, but you know what? I just don't care anymore. I'm ready to burn this motherfucker to the ground.
Hasta la vista, baby.
I left the car running, so it really doesn't matter how much noise I make, because zombies will still continue to swarm around it. In my moment of reprieve, I plan to create an opening to jump back in the car and continue my path of destruction. But first, I have to rid myself of this awful looking beard and mog these zombies with my chiseled jawline. I have no idea what just happened. Where were we again? Oh, right. Montage. That's enough destruction for one day. Let's rendezvous back at home base. I fully intend on finishing what I started, and packing some extra firepower will do just that. There's likely to be an armory somewhere within the police station, so I expect every round of ammunition I use to cull the undead will be paid back in kind. Not even a full night's sleep could slow down my bloodlust, as I wasted no time jumping right back into the action. If I leave the burning hordes unattended for too long, there's a chance that the fire will reach the armory and scorch all of that precious loot. I'm prepared to ensure that does not happen. The last few days of total war had created an opening on the far side of the police station, which I capitalized on as soon as I could. Once inside, I began searching for loot without much resistance. Finding junk food in the apocalypse is more valuable than gold, but I did not go through all this trouble for just a snack. I knew the armory had to be on the second floor, but finding a flight of stairs can be easier said than done inside a place like this. In Project Zomboid, fighting zombies inside a building is very much like fighting a cockroach infestation, because when you see one, that usually means there's more lurking in the shadows. I was so close to pushing upstairs until, shit, the fire is still spreading. I have to try and deal with them now, before it's too late. Ah, there's too many. I have to find another way around. When you play with fire, sometimes you'll get burned. Thankfully, the injury I sustained was only to my non-dominant hand, meaning I can still fight, but I need to dull the pain to remain effective. At this point, I considered ending the mission here, but in a split-second decision, I turned the car back around and parked in front of the station. A little burn wound on my left hand won't stop me now. I rushed through the blazing building and up the stairs in the hopes of reaching the armory before the flames. But as I ran across the second floor, the brutal realization finally sank in. I was too late. Despite already suffering a burn, I disregarded my personal safety to scavenge anything untouched by the fire. After nearly an entire week of action, I think it's safe to say that I've conquered this police station. I would have preferred less fire and brimstone, but hey, a win is a win. I'm just glad that I can finally put this place in my rearview mirror and move on to my next objective. I took a moment to reflect on our progress so far and mapped out exactly how I'll spend the next 25 days. Conquering the downtown police station helped us inch closer to our goal of 10,000 kills, but we still have more work to do. Right now, we're a little over halfway to reaching that magic number, and I know exactly where to go next. The Grand Ohio Mall, or what I like to call it, the final boss of Louisville. I'm confident that there's more than enough zombies in the mall to push us past the finish line, but before we go on the attack, I really wanted to scratch something else off of my Project Zomboid bucket list. Just south of the mall, there's a large junkyard surrounded by impenetrable fences on all sides. In this vast open space, I'm going to build my own home away from home, something I've never done before in my hundreds of hours playing Zomboid. This will surely be a massive project, so I'll need at least an entire day to prepare for the move. The burn wound on Fred's hand will likely need a few days to heal, so there's no better time to gather the essential items for our new base. And when I say essential, I mean pretty much anything and everything I think I'll need to make this happen. But first, I picked some fresh strawberries from my garden. There's no need to let these go to waste. Then I began the process of transferring items into as many bags as I could carry and loading everything into my truck. After that, I made repairs to the Ranger sedan before spending the rest of the night lounging in front of the television and enjoying some VHS tapes. We picked up right where we left off by continuing to load up the truck with enough building supplies for the job, along with a handful of guns and melee weapons. I also couldn't forget to bring food and water to sustain myself for at least the entire length of this building project. My hope is that I won't need to drive back here for the rest of the playthrough, but anything can happen. I also finally gathered enough electronics to reach that level 3 milestone, which unlocks the ability to move electric ovens. Riveting, I know. In the minuscule chance that there's someone from Indie Stone watching this video, seriously, we gotta flesh out the electrical skill. There is so much potential here, but as it is currently, it's just not worth grinding past level 3. Anyways, after 2 days of prep, we were ready to close this chapter of our story by saying goodbye to my cozy waterfront property and venture out towards the unknown far eastern edge of Louisville. It was crazy to see the difference in overgrowth that had occurred on this side of the city, untouched by any human activity for over 10 years. As I approached our destination, I could already picture its potential, but I knew that the locals would not just willingly let us gentrify their neighborhood. Once the horde was cleared, I took some time to explore my new property. I found an unopened container of margarine inside of this trailer and ate the entire thing for lunch. I also found a garage in the back corner containing some extra supplies. Since the overgrowth here is so severe, it actually provides an abundance of trees that I can chop down and harvest for planks, which will greatly reduce the amount of time it otherwise would take if I had to drive to a nearby forest instead. But before beginning my base construction, I wanted to move these abandoned vehicles across the street to make room for my truck to drive back and forth. We're going to speedrun these next 4 days because I really don't do anything else besides chop trees, build, eat, sleep, and repeat until the job is done. Basically, the best way for me to show these 4 days of progression is with, you guessed it, a montage. Initially, this was where I would build my base, but I quickly realized that from this angle, I wouldn't even be able to see the front of it. Instead, I decided to turn this construction into a garage so as to not declare it a complete waste of time. After all that effort, phase 1 of my construction project is complete. It ain't much, but it's honest work. Now, we gotta spruce this place up and bring my new home to life. But before I do that, let's return to our old base for the night. I realized that beautiful Jeep I found hidden in the trees only needs a standard car battery to be mine. And since I didn't pack a battery charger, I'll need to drive all the way back home and pull the battery out of my Ranger sedan. Now this is an upgrade. I quickly grabbed my spare generator from the truck and made a pit stop at a nearby gas station so I could fuel up my new ride. Now that's taken care of, let's drop the generator outside the house and hook it up for power before going shopping for furniture. After checking to make sure the house was clear, I started by prying off a few windows with a crowbar. Then, I went back in the kitchen to grab a handful of these wooden chairs and the king-size mattress upstairs, which proved to be a bit more tricky than I expected. Since each piece of the mattress weighs 20 kilos, I had to drop 3 pieces off at my house before returning for the final piece. At least now, I'll have a big, comfortable bed to sleep in, right? Well, assembling the mattress proved to be more difficult than taking it apart, and I spent at least 10 minutes here trying to figure out exactly what I was doing wrong. I eventually gave up and dumped all the mattress pieces outside to never be seen again. I suppose another night of sleep in the car isn't the end of the world. The following morning, I went back to the row of townhouses to resume my shopping spree. This house had another king-size bed and a bunk bed. I could have settled for the bunk bed, but honestly, I just wasn't really feeling it. The house next door had what I thought was a normal single bed, but when I tried picking it up, the game was clearly showing a large mattress, so I was duped by a weird visual bug. This house wasn't a total loss though, because I walked away with these 2 banana couches and a brand new TV. On my way back to the townhomes, I spotted something in the corner of my eye. While the Jeep scores very high in style points, the trunk space is abysmal, so this trailer is a much needed addition. I threw both of these industrial refrigerators in the trailer just to accentuate that point. Instead of returning to the townhomes, I chose to visit a fire department which was right next door. Oh, look at that, we found a bed. I also grabbed a TV stand, an oven, and a table. I mean, sure, this place isn't like staying at the Hamptons or anything, but it is just oozing with potential. And what better way to maximize this potential by caffeine maxing through tonight so I can take full advantage of every hour between now and day 100, because at this point, I could really feel the clock ticking down. My first stop would be in this wealthy neighborhood. I had a feeling there would be some cool stuff here. Despite loading my truck to the brim with building supplies, I forgot the one item needed to fully flesh out my new kitchen: a pipe wrench. I won't have running water without that wrench, so I'm taking a mini day trip to a tool store in the hopes of finding one there. My hopes were rewarded, as there was an abundance of useful items at this tool store, one of which being this trolley perfectly suited for a caffeinated loot goblin. I took a peek at these houses across the street, which all had purple carpets that I immediately began tearing up, because of course I would. When I returned and installed my new carpets, I figured my kitchen would look better with tile flooring instead. Thankfully, I didn't have to go very far to find some. Three sleepless nights later, and my new home is really starting to come alive. I burned through my entire coffee stash, and as you would expect, fatigue is starting to take a toll on me. Instead of going to sleep in the middle of the afternoon and really screwing up my sleep schedule, let's walk up the street towards the gas station and look for something to keep me going. These vitamins are just what the doctor ordered. One bottle of vitamins won't last long, so my next order of business is to go check out a grocery store and scavenge for more coffee. As I rounded this corner, I came to a sudden realization. There's a gun store right here. Of course I can make time for this. just like to point out the absurdity of Fred crunching on whole coffee beans to satisfy his caffeine addiction. I mean, to be in a zombie apocalypse is down bad enough, but I don't know how down bad you'd have to be to consider this level of savagery. Anyways, after finding more coffee in the storage rooms, I drove back home to unload my trailer full of loot and put the finishing touches on my interior decorations. What began as merely 4 walls and a roof has become my humble abode, and our efficient time management has left us with exactly 2 weeks to reach our goal of 10,000 kills. There's just 2 little things I have to take care of before going on my killing spree. First, my perfectionist nature would not allow me to leave this last section of flooring unfinished, so I have to find more purple carpeting. And second, some time ago, I marked a survivor home that I discovered from an annotated map, and since it's in the area, I want to go check it out. Turns out, this place was absolutely loaded with melee weapons. With the sheer amount of houses in this area, it shouldn't take too long to find some purple carpets. There's none here or here. Let's go look somewhere else. Would you look at that? Another survivor home. Let's go check it out. I can't believe it. It's over. 86 days of survival, and it's over in an instant. I have taken countless fights like that, put myself in more dangerous situations than that. I have mastered the flow of fighting groups of zombies, yet all it takes is one lapse in focus to completely end it all. In this moment, I felt a slew of emotions, a mix of anger and despair, like I was punched straight in the gut. If I wasn't so concerned about some fucking purple carpets, maybe this would have never happened. To be totally honest, the thought of activating the cheat menu and wiping away my injuries for sure crossed my mind, but that is a slippery slope as a content creator. I mean, everybody knows that 100 days is the secret sauce for the YouTube algorithm. What am I gonna do now?
I survived 86 days in Project Zomboid.
Regardless, Fred has maybe 72 hours at most before the knox infection fully consumes his life. I will not just sit in a corner and wallow in self-pity. I choose to die on my terms by packing as many guns as I can carry and driving straight to the mall. This is war, and honestly, these fucking zombies deserve it. Putting on the Spiffo mask turned me into a man possessed, but my spare shotgun shells were just not able to keep up with my insatiable thirst for blood. Once I ran out, I switched to the Tech 9, but my damage output was severely diminished because of my injuries. I also brought an FAL assault rifle, but I left it in the passenger seat of my car. The only way we're leaving this mall in one piece is if we break stuff. Now that I've grabbed the FAL, let's get in there and really cause some havoc. By this point, most of the horde is either burning or dead, which gave me some space to go and find that Kill Bill zombie. Finally, having a katana makes dying just a little bit easier. Since it's mostly clear, I patched up my wounds in the car and waited a few hours for sunrise before heading back inside. This is my last day on Earth, so I'm going looting one last time. I had never been inside the mall until now, so I was just enjoying walking around and seeing what I could find. When I confronted the remaining zombies, I very much wanted to cut through them with my new katana, but my degrading health was becoming too much to bear. Instead, I chose to spend my remaining hours back where it all started. I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't feeling a little emotional when I returned home. It wasn't supposed to end like this, but hey, at least I have the luxury of spending my last moments exactly how I want. I can rest easy knowing that I gave it my all up to my very last breath and left a beautiful home behind for anyone else out there who may be coming to Louisville. Yeah, this feels alright. Let's just sit here, get shit-faced drunk, watch the water a bit, and die in peace. Thank you all so much for watching. I know my editing got a bit sloppy towards the end of this video, but honestly, I had to get this series wrapped up. I probably won't make another series with more than like 2 or 3 episodes because people rightfully lose interest. But I assure you that I have some amazing ideas for my next long-form Zomboid video. You'll be seeing more of me real soon.